I don't think you're leaving any gains on the table if your protein is taken in one whack, 100 grams at night versus 20 grams 5 times during the day. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if it matters if you break up a week's worth of protein into 2 days of really high, let's say 250 grams of protein, and the rest of the days are at RDA or like 60 grams. I don't think it matters.
Bringing you a reasoned approach to health and fitness. This is the Phi Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Phi Life Podcast. I'm John Barban. With me is Brad Pilon. And I had a question come in about the correct or the optimal meal timing or meal structure for workout performance. And so workouts being mostly typical bodybuilding, strength, hypertrophy, general fitness, just the average person going to the gym. So not necessarily talking about elite level athletic training or anything like that. But these answers will kind of apply to all of it. So the question came from somebody who fasts on a pretty regular basis and is more of a go very minimal throughout the day, if not nothing besides just coffee, and then backload all their calories in the evening to like a dinner and some snacks. And
You're your typical OMAD 1 meal a day type of person. Yeah.
And the question was, is this detrimental? Am I leaving some, gains or some effect on the table by eating this way if I work out at some point in the day before eating? So it's not like he eats and then goes and works out. Like everything's done and the day kind of ends with the food.
Yep.
And so the question was, is there a better way to do this? From the standpoint of my either performance in the gym or the results I'm getting.
Okay. So that's right away. The issue I always have is that we like to talk about gains or workouts, muscle mass and barbell strength. And I think it means the same thing as when athletes talk about performance, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a track meet where, Ro did 200s, made it to the finals, but he did the 200s and it poured rain. So he was like soaked, and I'm an idiot father, didn't bring an extra pair of socks or anything, right? So in between those heats, we didn't eat. We went running around finding socks. And you wouldn't think eating really matters for a 200 meter. But he was like, dude, I came around that curve and I had nothing left, like nothing. And I was like, oh yeah, you'd normally have a snack. So performance-wise, when you're, a winning score is a 22:05, and if you run a 22.15 second, you're like seventh. That stuff matters, right? Yeah. But when it comes to weight training, remember you're trying to create a deficit, a poor environment, a some sort of signal that you're needing to improve. It's a different thing, right? So I think that almost training for an adaptation and what that takes, which is, forcing the body into a kind of compromised situation, is very different than an actual meat and eating for performance, right? So even a power lifter, I would consider having them actually pay attention to that the day of a meet, right? When it matters. But my just personal opinion is during training, you almost want to be able to train in all dietary situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, to be clear, this person asking is 51 or 52 years old and has been training since high school and is probably at their genetic kind of limit for hypertrophy.
Oh, just eating away doesn't blow out your back then. Jesus.
Right. So my first point back to him was, what do you think you're doing besides maintenance? Like it probably doesn't matter at all. And you're not in a dynamic growth phase anymore as far as muscle building and or strength. Those are both, like he's just not chasing either muscle or strength. He's kind of where he needs to be. So it's all maintenance at this point. So to your point, looking for the bleeding edge of results, even if there was a food timing effect to your workout, that was 20 years ago for him. That's over.
Yeah. So I think because it's Pete, right? So Pete's got a kid I think he's roughly Ro's age, and it's hard to have someone in your house who's a teenage athlete and not for some reason think that you might also be an athlete, and we're not, right? If you did one of the workouts your son did, you just wouldn't have hamstrings anymore. It's a different thing. So at our age, the answer is it's a subjective thing based on feel. And again, at your age, you should know what that feel is. So there are certain foods that do not agree with you pre-workout, right? And some people have, foods they like and foods they don't. I don't think you're leaving any gains on the table if your protein is taken in one whack, 100 grams at night versus 20 grams 5 times during the day. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if it matters if you break up a week's worth of protein into 2 days of really high, let's say 250 grams of protein, and the rest of the days are at RDA or like 60 grams. I don't think it matters. So it comes down to what do you feel best doing in the gym. I like training fasted. It has nothing to do with free fatty acids. I just like that feeling. But other people need to have some food into them, right? So
yeah, I think it comes down to is you sleep first. If you had a great night's sleep, it probably trumps anything to do with food.
Yeah.
If depending on how busy the rest of your day was. Also, I like to think of protein on a weekly basis, not a daily basis.
Yeah.
That protein just doesn't matter.
Rolling average, right?
Yeah. If anything, it might come down to carbs. And if you've been very low on carbs, either by choice or you just inadvertently didn't eat a lot of carbs the last 2 or 3 days, in that case, you could feel a little weak and or depleted or just so you don't have a lot of shove in your next workout if you were hitting any kind of real weights and real volume. But in that case, it's still not necessarily the carbs right before the workout. It could be in the last 12 hours, the last 24 hours of how much carbs you've eaten. But if you are very, very low on carbs, I have worked with some people where they notice just if they've been going quite low carb, a couple hours before a workout where they really need to hit it, just adding more carbs than usual back in, they feel a real good boost. So that could be one case. But again, a boost just for that workout to feel good
depends on the purpose of that workout. So if you're doing let's say an hour run, the carbs might feel fantastic, and your run time for distance may actually go down, which from a performance point of view is great. But if you're running to lose weight, then it's almost like you do have to suffer through the feeling of being kind of hungry while you're running. So it comes down to what are you trying to do and how are you trying to do it. So a run is different.
You should never be running to lose weight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Honestly, it's one of those things that we could easily get 8 guests on this podcast, tell them all to do their research, and they would have 8 different, very clearly research substantiated points of views on when the best time to eat is. And then we can get 10,000 people to follow each one of their piece of advice, and the difference would be, right? Like it's that sort of scientifically significant versus real world. Does it matter at all? And if you're an elite athlete and you're measuring some sort of performance, it might matter. If you are, if you have some sort of food intolerances and something doesn't feel right, and you're just doing it because someone told you to do it, that's probably dumb. In general, it's just, hey, how do you feel? And go with that. If you have a good workout, try to recreate whatever it is that made that workout great, and just keep doing that.
Yeah. And I would say it's likely has nothing to do with protein timing or how much. It has likely nothing to do with fat timing or how much. If at all, that I've ever seen for the way a workout feels. Let's even set aside whatever the end goal. Is it just for it to feel good, for you to feel like you've got a lot of shove?
Yeah.
Like you just want to get a pump? I don't know. Is it just a volume thing? Like you just can't make it through an hour and a half at the intensity you're hoping for? Any of that? It's likely always comes down to carbs. And kind of extreme, like have you been carb depleted or very low carb for a number of days, and yet you're still trying to hit a sort of traditional volume hypertrophy workout or even a performance type, like what your son's doing? You'll probably notice, oh man, if I was eating carbs regularly the last 3 days, this workout would have felt better than not eating carbs.
And I was going to say, you know what? If you take that a little bit of anecdotal evidence to that, I have the most push in the gym when I'm a bit over 170 pounds because I've been eating, right? So give or take, it's like, do I want to look a bit fluffy to have a bit more push in the gym? Probably not. right? So you got to really figure out what it is you're eating for there as well. Because if I just wanted to feel great in the gym, then yeah, it would just be, I'd be overeating a little bit every day, and that would feel probably pretty good in the gym, but wouldn't look good in about 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah.
And it doesn't, and when so we've determined that it's likely just carbs if you're low on carbs, and sometimes you might just need to add. And I don't mean like mainline a lot of them. It could be just a small carby snack is enough.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be a lot to get that feeling just for the workout, right? Well, all we're talking about is how good does that workout feel?
Yep. I find hydration before the workout, of all things that are probably the most important, that in terms of food, not just sleep, but just making sure I'm like, hey, if I drank anything other than coffee today, that helps too.
Yeah. So it's not a sexy answer. It's pretty bland. But again, you just got to try it on yourself. Like in some cases, it just might not. It just might not matter.
Yeah, and I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here because I'm going to take it and relate it back to weight loss, weight gain. But the worst results that I ever get is always when I'm chasing the magic of eating a certain type of food or eating in a certain style, right? Whenever I start buying into that, there's a magic way, is when my lists go to hell, and then my physique does not look the same because I'm focusing on the wrong thing. And the magic of a diet is the entire marketing campaign of any diet, right? Anything that's popular on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok is talking about the magic about it. And I'll just tell you that whenever I've chased the magic instead of just eating less and working out hard, nothing good happens.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of this is just, is there some magic pixie dust that I'm missing that would make these workouts magically better and carve 6 pounds off my stomach? And it's no.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's food. It's probably overall food volume, likely more focused on the carb content, and that's about it. The answer is always mundane. It's with all of working out, the answer is always mundane.
Ask yourself when you hear some of these ideas too, is the person who's telling you is their entire shtick online being the intelligent guy or girl who overly complicates things? And if so, they're probably overcomplicating it, right? So if their whole thing is complicated, they're just adding complication, and it probably won't make a difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we answered it. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Roundabout a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit roundabout. All right. So for Brad Pilon, I'm John Barban, and that's your Phi Life Podcast.